Ethan had always been drawn to the unknown. Ever since he was a child, he felt that the universe held more than the small, quiet life he had grown up in. Stories of distant stars, strange planets, and civilizations long lost had fueled his imagination. Now, as a seasoned explorer, he was finally living those dreams. Yet, nothing could have prepared him for the strange turn his life would take on the remote planet of Althurian 7. Althurian 7 was a planet of contrasts. Its surface was dotted with craggy cliffs, deep valleys filled with bioluminescent flora, and massive ruins that hinted at a civilization long vanished. Ethan's shuttle had touched down on a plateau near what appeared to be a ruined city, the remains of tall towers cracked and partially buried beneath layers of alien dust. He had been sent to investigate reports of unusual energy readings and possible life forms still inhabiting the ruins. As he stepped out of his shuttle, the wind swept across the plateau, carrying a sharp, metallic scent. Ethan adjusted his visor and scanned the area. Everything seemed still, almost too still. He walked toward a large building that had partially collapsed. Its surface was etched with symbols he did not recognize, yet they seemed familiar in a way he couldn't explain. Ethan crouched near an opening in the structure, noticing signs of a recent struggle. Scattered debris and scorch marks suggested that something, or someone, had been here not long ago. As he moved cautiously through the corridor, he heard a faint, rhythmic sound. It was soft, almost imperceptible at first, but unmistakable, the sound of someone breathing. Following the noise, Ethan entered a larger chamber, half-collapsed and dimly lit by cracks in the walls letting in shafts of alien light. That was when he saw her. Liara was unlike anything Ethan had ever encountered. She was an alien, humanoid in form but elegant in ways humans rarely were. Her skin shimmered faintly in the dim light, and her eyes reflected a deep, melancholy intelligence. She sat against a broken wall, her head bowed, her arms wrapped around her knees. Despite her fragile posture, there was an aura of quiet strength about her. "Are you alive?" Ethan asked, stepping forward cautiously. Liara lifted her head slowly. Her eyes, large and luminous, studied him carefully. "I am," she said, her voice soft but steady. Her tone carried the weight of someone who had seen too much, someone who had lost much. Ethan noticed the faint scars on her arms and shoulders, signs of battle or injury. "You've been hurt," he said, moving closer. "Can I help?" Liara shook her head slightly. "I can manage." Her words were polite, but there was a flicker of curiosity in her eyes. He nodded, understanding the alien caution. "I'm Ethan," he introduced himself, offering a hand in human custom. "I mean no harm." Liara studied his hand for a moment, then slowly extended her own. Their fingers touched, and Ethan felt a strange warmth, a connection that was neither entirely physical nor entirely emotional. "I am Liara," she replied. "I was traveling when my ship crashed. I survived, but my companions, they did not." She glanced away, her eyes misting. "I am alone now." Ethan felt a pang of empathy. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know it's not much, but I can help you get back to your people. We can fix your communication device." Liara's eyes widened slightly, a flicker of hope breaking through her sorrow. "You would do that?" she asked. "I would," Ethan said firmly. "I've dealt with ruins and broken tech before. It's what I do." They moved together toward the remains of her ship, which was partially buried beneath a collapsed structure. The damage was extensive. The hull cracked and systems fried, but the central communication module appeared intact. Ethan examined it carefully, noting that it could be repaired with enough tools and power. As he worked, Liara watched him silently, occasionally handing him tools or stabilizing broken parts. They communicated through gestures and simple words at first, but slowly, they began to understand each other better. Ethan learned about Liara's life before the crash, how she had been a diplomat for her colony, negotiating with other species, and how she had lost everything in the recent conflict. Liara listened to Ethan's stories as well. He told her about Earth, about humanity's drive to explore and discover, and about his personal journey to find purpose among the stars. Despite the differences in their worlds, they found common ground in their shared sense of resilience and curiosity. Hours passed, and the sky darkened as the planet's twin moons rose, casting a soft, silver glow across the plateau. Ethan wiped sweat from his brow and stepped back to assess the repaired communication device. "It should work now," he said. "You can contact your people and let them know you're safe." Liara approached the device and activated it. A faint hum filled the air as the transmitter powered up. Images of distant ships flickered on the interface, and Liara's expression softened. "It is working," she whispered, relief and something like gratitude shone in her eyes. Ethan smiled. "See, I told you I could help." Liara tilted her head slightly, her gaze lingering on him. You risked yourself to help me," she said softly. "That is not something many humans would do." Ethan shrugged, feeling awkward under her scrutiny. "I didn't think about it that way. I wanted to make sure you were safe." A pause stretched between them. Ethan was about to turn back to the device when Liara said something unexpected. "Did you just ask me to join you to stay together?" she asked, her voice calm but curious. Ethan blinked, taken aback. I wasn't asking, not exactly," he stammered. "I just—" Liara's expression softened into a smile. It was gentle, almost shy, yet full of meaning. "I understand," she said. "In my culture, this gesture is significant. You offered more than friendship. You offered partnership. I accept." Ethan froze. He had not anticipated this. His heart raced, a mix of surprise, confusion, and something else, something profound and unspoken. "You accept," he repeated. "Yes," Liara said again, her eyes bright in the silver moonlight. "I accept." For a moment, the vast, silent ruins around them seemed to fade away. The danger, the loneliness, the weight of the past, it all felt distant. Ethan realized that in this alien widow, he had found someone who understood courage and loss, someone who could walk beside him through the unknown. The night grew colder, and Ethan built a small fire using portable equipment. They sat near it, the warmth of the flames mirrored by the growing connection between them. Liara spoke of her memories, her colony, and the family she had lost. Ethan listened, sharing simple stories of his own life, his failures, and his triumphs. Words were not always necessary. Sometimes a shared glance, a slight nod, or a soft laugh was enough. Hours later, the sky shifted with the slow rotation of the planet, and the first hints of dawn touched the horizon. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of alien flora. Liara looked at Ethan with quiet gratitude. "You have given me hope," she said. "Not just for survival, but for the future." Ethan felt a deep sense of purpose. Helping Liara had started as a simple mission, but it had grown into something far greater. The bond they had formed, fragile yet strong, symbolized the essence of humanity, courage, compassion, and the ability to connect even across the vastness of space. As they prepared to continue their journey toward a safer location to send a full distress signal, Ethan reflected on the strange, unexpected proposal and its acceptance. It was more than a promise. It was a bridge between two worlds, a connection that neither time nor distance could easily sever. Together, they stepped out into the alien landscape, ready to face whatever dangers and wonders awaited them. Each step forward was a step into the unknown, but now they would face it not alone, but side by side. The ruins of the past, the scars of war, and the shadows of loss were still there, but they were no longer barriers. They were reminders of resilience, of the strength found in trust, and of the unexpected ways life could bring two beings together across the stars. With the sun rising behind them, casting long shadows across the plateau, Ethan and Liara moved forward, bound not just by circumstance, but by the promise of partnership, understanding, and the quiet thrill of a future that held both danger and wonder. And in that moment, Ethan understood something profound. The universe was vast, unpredictable, and often perilous. But it was also full of connections waiting to be discovered, friendships waiting to be forged, and hope waiting to be claimed. The morning sun cast long, golden rays across the jagged plains of Althurian 7. Ethan and Liara moved carefully, stepping over broken stone and through patches of alien flora that glowed faintly under the light. The ruins had become less a place of sorrow and more a starting point, a place where their journey, their unusual partnership, truly began. Liara carried her small pack, the essentials she had salvaged from the wreckage of her ship. Ethan adjusted his own gear, checking tools and supplies while keeping a careful eye on the surrounding cliffs. The planet was beautiful, but it was dangerous. The cliffs often hid predators, and storms could strike with little warning. They had agreed to travel toward a nearby ridge where the signal from her people could be boosted. While the communication device could transmit short messages, its range was limited. Reaching the ridge would take time, and they would have to cross vast open terrain, including valleys where creatures might lurk. "I hope your people received the signal," Ethan said, breaking the morning silence. He glanced at Liara, who walked a few steps ahead. It's not ideal, but it should have given them your coordinates. Liara's expression remained calm, but her eyes flicked toward the horizon, thoughtful. I do not know, she admitted. The device worked, but I do not know if my people understood its meaning or the urgency. Ethan nodded. We'll make sure it works. Even if we have to climb the ridge ourselves and manually boost the signal, we'll get it done. As they moved forward, Liara occasionally pointed out certain plants and terrain features, explaining their uses. Some of the plants were edible, others had properties that could help with minor injuries. Ethan listened carefully, impressed by her knowledge. Despite the hardships she had endured, she remained resourceful and composed. Hours passed, and the terrain became more challenging. They descended into a narrow valley where jagged rocks formed natural walls on either side. The valley floor was uneven, with pools of iridescent liquid and patches of dense vegetation. Ethan stepped cautiously, scanning for movement. Be careful, Liara warned, her voice low. The valley is known for creatures that hunt silently. They often wait for prey to come close before striking. Ethan nodded, gripping a walking stick he had fashioned from durable metal. He admired Liara's calm, focused demeanor. Despite her loss and the trauma she carried, she faced danger with courage and clarity. It reminded him of the best qualities of humanity, resilience and adaptability, even if she was not human herself. Suddenly, a rustling sound echoed from above. Ethan froze. Two large creatures leapt from the rocky ledges above them. They had sleek, armored bodies and glowing eyes that reflected in the sunlight. Liara reacted instantly, leaping to the side and drawing a compact energy blade from her pack. Ethan swung his walking stick, striking the nearest creature as it landed. Sparks flew as metal and organic matter collided. Liara slashed at the second, her movements precise and practiced. They fought side by side, instinctively coordinating their attacks. After several tense moments, the creatures retreated into the shadows, leaving Ethan and Liara panting and alert. Ethan looked at Liara, admiration clear in his eyes. You're incredible, he said, brushing dust from his sleeve. Liara gave a small, almost shy smile. I have learned to survive, she said, and your creativity with that stick, it is not common among my people. The compliment brought a brief warmth to Ethan's chest. Despite the danger, despite the unknown, he felt a strange sense of belonging with her. It was as if their partnership, born from an unexpected proposal, was already proving its worth. They continued through the valley, moving more cautiously now. Each step was deliberate, each glance searching for movement. By late afternoon, they reached a clearing that offered a clear view of the ridge they needed to reach. From this vantage point, Ethan could see the path ahead, a narrow ledge climbing steeply toward the ridge. The climb would be difficult but necessary. As they rested briefly, Liara activated the communication device again. A holographic interface projected in front of her, flickering slightly. The signal was faint but functional. Ethan leaned over her shoulder. It's working better than before. If we can get to the ridge, the signal will reach her people clearly. Liara nodded, but her gaze was distant. The journey is more dangerous than I expected, she said softly. I had hoped to send a simple signal and be rescued without risk. But it seems the universe does not make things easy. Ethan reached out, placing a hand gently on her arm. We'll make it, he said firmly. We're not alone anymore. We watch each other's backs now. That makes all the difference. Liara's eyes met his, and for a moment words were unnecessary. The bond between them had grown beyond survival. It was trust, mutual respect, and something deeper, a connection that defied species and circumstance. They began the climb toward the ridge, moving carefully along the narrow ledge. The path was steep, and loose rocks made every step perilous. Ethan helped Liara over a particularly tricky section, steadying her as she navigated the edge. Halfway up, the sky darkened suddenly. Thick clouds rolled in, and the wind picked up with alarming speed. Ethan tightened his grip on his gear, scanning the horizon. Storm, he muttered. We need to move faster. Liara nodded, adjusting her hold on the energy blade and securing her pack. Together they pressed on, climbing higher as the wind whipped around them. The storm hit fully as they reached the upper ledge, rain and cold slicing through their clothing, reducing visibility. Ethan spotted a small overhang offering some shelter. Quickly, he shouted over the wind. They huddled under the rocks, catching their breath. Liara looked at him, eyes reflecting concern and a hint of worry. The storm could last hours, she said. We cannot stay here for long. Ethan considered the risk. We'll have to move through it. We're close. One more stretch, and we reach the ridge. Liara studied him for a moment, then nodded. Together, they stepped back into the storm, moving cautiously but steadily. Every slip of the foot was met with a steady hand, every treacherous stretch navigated with teamwork and trust. Finally, after hours of grueling climb, they reached the ridge. Ethan raised the communication device, adjusting its settings. A beam of light shot into the sky, pulsing with steady intensity. Liara's people would see it, and the message would reach them clearly. They took a moment to rest, exhaustion evident in their movements. Ethan looked at Liara, his clothes soaked, his face streaked with mud and sweat, yet his eyes bright with relief and triumph. "We did it," he said simply. Liara smiled, a tired but genuine expression. "Yes," she said, "thanks to you." As the storm passed and the first stars appeared in the evening sky, Ethan and Liara shared a quiet moment. The ridge offered a breathtaking view of the planet, valleys glowing softly with bioluminescent flora, and distant mountains shrouded in mist. It was alien and beautiful, yet in that moment it felt like home. They set up a temporary shelter using Liara's portable equipment and some of Ethan's tools. As night fell, they sat together, sharing warmth and food. Conversation drifted from survival strategies to personal stories. Ethan spoke of his life on Earth, of childhood dreams, and of the feeling of being small in an enormous universe. Liara shared memories of her colony, of her family, and of the responsibilities she had carried before the crash. Despite the danger and the hardships, there was laughter, a small, shared sense of joy in each other's company that made the challenges worthwhile. Ethan realized that the bond between them was no longer just survival. It was companionship, understanding, and the quiet promise of something lasting. Suddenly, Liara's communication device flickered. A faint signal returned, distorted but recognizable. Her eyes widened. "They responded," she whispered. Ethan leaned closer, examining the projection. A fleet of ships was approaching from the horizon, moving toward the ridge at speed. Ethan felt a surge of relief. "Help is coming," he said. "You'll be safe soon." Liara turned to him, her eyes filled with emotion. "I owe you more than I can express," she said softly. "You saved me not just from the crash, but from despair." Ethan shook his head. "We saved each other," he said. "That's what matters." The night passed slowly as they watched the distant fleet approach. Shadows moved across the ridge as they prepared for potential complications. Ethan kept vigil, his senses alert for threats, while Liara monitored the communication device and readied defensive tools just in case. By morning, the fleet was close enough to be seen clearly. Alien ships, sleek and powerful, descended toward the ridge. Liara's people had come to ensure her safety. Ethan felt a mixture of relief and anticipation. This moment, he knew, would mark a turning point, not just for Liara, but for both of them. The ships landed, and Liara stepped forward, signaling her identity. Leaders of the fleet approached, and recognition and gratitude shone in their expressions. Ethan stood beside Liara, ready to assist if needed. As they exchanged greetings, Ethan realized that his journey had taken him farther than he had imagined, not just across a planet, but into a world of connection, trust, and understanding. The unexpected proposal, the alliance they had formed, had become a bridge between two species, two worlds, and perhaps two hearts. Liara's people offered temporary shelter and healing resources, but she remained by Ethan's side, refusing to part ways. "You have become a part of this," she said. "I would not leave without you." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest, a recognition that their partnership had transcended survival. It was trust, respect, and something neither had anticipated, but both cherished. With the fleet securing the area, Ethan and Liara prepared to descend from the ridge, ready to move toward her colony together. Each step carried them closer to safety, and closer to a future neither could have predicted when their paths first crossed. For Ethan, it was clear. The universe was vast, unpredictable, and often perilous, but it was also full of connection, bravery, and hope. And now, with Liara beside him, he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They descended the ridge, side by side, their steps synchronized, their resolve strengthened, and their bond undeniable. The journey was far from over, but for the first time, both of them felt that whatever came next, they would face it together. The fleet of Liara's people had secured the ridge, but the journey was far from over. Ethan and Liara descended carefully, their feet crunching on loose rocks, their eyes scanning for any danger that might still linger on Althurian 7. The terrain was uneven, and though the immediate threat seemed gone, the planet itself had a way of testing anyone who dared traverse it. Liara walked beside Ethan, her hand occasionally brushing against his arm, not intentionally, but as if to anchor herself. He felt the warmth of her presence, a constant reminder that they were no longer alone in the vast, unpredictable universe. "Are you ready?" Liara asked quietly. Her voice carried calm determination, though a hint of tension lingered. Ethan nodded. "I've never been more ready for anything in my life," he replied. "Let's get you home." They moved toward the landing zone where Liara's fleet had established a temporary base. The ships gleamed under the planet's pale sun, sleek and elegant, yet powerful. Soldiers and technicians moved swiftly, organizing supplies and preparing for any unforeseen threats. Ethan marveled at their efficiency. As they approached, a small group of Liara's people stepped forward. They recognized her immediately, their expressions softening with relief and gratitude. One of them, a tall figure with commanding presence, stepped closer. "Liara," he said, his voice deep and respectful. "You have returned safely, and this human—" Liara smiled gently. "He is Ethan. He saved me when I had no one else. He has earned my trust." The commander studied Ethan for a moment, then nodded. "Your actions have not gone unnoticed," he said. "You are brave and resourceful, qualities our people honor. Welcome among us, for the moment at least." Ethan felt a mixture of pride and unease. Though he had faced countless dangers on Earth and beyond, nothing had prepared him for the weight of recognition from an alien civilization. Yet Liara's presence beside him was reassuring. Her eyes held a silent message. We are together, no matter what. The base was organized efficiently, with shelters and equipment designed to sustain them until they could move forward. Ethan and Liara were guided to a temporary shelter where they could rest, eat, and plan the next steps. As they settled, Ethan noticed a group of scouts returning from the surrounding terrain. Their expressions were grim. One of them approached Liara, speaking in a rapid sequence of sounds that Ethan could not understand. Liara listened carefully, then turned to Ethan. "There is a threat," she said. "A faction from the neighboring system has learned of my presence. They seek to capture me for leverage. They are not far from here, and they are approaching." Ethan's heart raced. "Then we need to prepare," he said. "Do they have numbers, weapons?" Liara nodded. "They are well equipped, but not as organized as our fleet. Still, they are dangerous. We cannot underestimate them." Together, they began planning with the commander. Ethan's experience in improvisation and strategy proved invaluable. While Liara's people had advanced technology and discipline, Ethan brought unconventional thinking, human creativity and adaptability that could turn the tide in unexpected ways. Hours passed as they fortified their position. Barriers were erected, traps set, and surveillance deployed. Ethan worked tirelessly alongside the aliens, learning quickly how their systems operated. Despite the language barrier, gestures, demonstrations, and mutual understanding allowed them to coordinate effectively. Night fell and the planet's moons cast pale light across the landscape. Ethan and Liara took a brief moment to rest, leaning against each other in exhaustion. "I never expected this," Ethan said quietly. "From a simple mission to a rescue to now preparing for battle, it's overwhelming." Liara looked at him, her eyes calm yet intense. "The universe does not wait for preparation," she said softly. "It moves, it tests, we adapt or we fail. You have adapted well, Ethan. That is why you are still here." He smiled faintly, feeling a mixture of admiration and gratitude. "And you have shown me the same. You are remarkable, Liara. Even after everything you have endured, you face danger with courage and clarity. I admire you." A flicker of something, perhaps warmth, perhaps affection, passed through Liara's eyes. "I admire your bravery as well," she said. "And your persistence. Humanity has qualities my people respect. You have proven them." Before they could continue, a sudden alert sounded from the perimeter. Ethan jumped to his feet, grabbing his equipment. Liara followed, energy blade in hand. The scouts had detected movement, shapes emerging from the shadows, advancing with precision. The faction had arrived. Ethan and Liara took their positions, flanking the temporary defenses. The alien soldiers braced, ready to repel the intruders. Ethan assessed the scene quickly. The enemy was composed of humanoid figures in armored suits, wielding energy weapons. Their approach was coordinated but predictable, a pattern Ethan could exploit. "Wait for my signal," Liara whispered. We will strike together, timing is everything, Ethan nodded. His mind raced, devising a plan. Using the terrain and available barriers, they could channel the enemy into narrow paths, neutralizing their numbers' advantage. Small traps set earlier would slow their advance, giving the defenders a strategic edge. The first wave approached, stepping cautiously over the rocky ground. Ethan activated a small device that emitted a high-frequency pulse, causing several of the enemy units to stagger. Liara charged forward, her blade cutting a precise path through the disoriented attackers. Ethan moved quickly, using improvised cover to intercept enemies, knocking them off balance with his walking stick reinforced with alien alloys. Despite his lack of formal combat training, his instincts and human creativity allowed him to adapt rapidly to the alien battlefield. The battle intensified. Blasts of energy lit up the night, casting flickering shadows across the ridge. Ethan and Liara fought side by side, communicating silently through gestures and brief commands. Each move was deliberate, calculated, yet instinctive. Hours passed, the struggle unrelenting. Ethan was struck once, a glancing blow that bruised his shoulder, but he pressed on. Liara's agility and precision were unmatched, yet she remained aware of Ethan's position, covering his movements when necessary. Their synergy became evident not just to themselves, but to the soldiers around them. At one point, Liara was surrounded, 3 attackers closing in. Ethan saw the danger and acted instinctively, launching a counterattack that allowed her to regain her footing. She glanced at him briefly, a spark of gratitude in her eyes before turning back to the fray. Finally, as the first light of dawn touched the horizon, the enemy began to retreat. They had underestimated the combination of human ingenuity and alien skill, and the defenders had exploited every opportunity. Exhausted but victorious, Ethan and Liara surveyed the battlefield. The ridge was scarred, debris scattered, but the threat had been neutralized, for now. Liara turned to Ethan, her face a mixture of relief and respect. "You have done more than I could have imagined," she said. "Without you, this would have been far worse." Ethan shook his head, breathing heavily. "We did this together," he said. "It wasn't just me. We made a good team." They returned to the temporary shelter, where the soldiers and fleet leaders treated the wounded and secured the area. Ethan and Liara finally allowed themselves a moment to rest. The adrenaline of battle faded, replaced by exhaustion and quiet reflection. As they sat together, Liara's eyes met Ethan's. "I did not expect to feel safe even briefly in this place," she said softly. "But with you here, I do." Ethan felt a lump in his throat. "I feel the same," he admitted. "This journey started with uncertainty, danger, and loss. But it also brought us together. I am grateful for that." Liara's hand found his, their fingers intertwining. It was a simple gesture, yet it carried the weight of trust, admiration, and something neither had anticipated but both cherished. Over the next few days, the fleet reinforced the ridge, preparing for any future threats. Ethan worked alongside Liara and the alien soldiers, learning quickly, adapting to their systems, and contributing ideas that proved valuable. His humanity, his ingenuity, empathy, and courage was respected and acknowledged. Liara observed him closely, impressed by his adaptability and determination. She had seen many species, many warriors and diplomats, but there was something unique about humans. Ethan embodied qualities her people admired but rarely expected in one individual. One evening, as they monitored the perimeter from the ridge, Liara turned to Ethan. "Do you know what this means?" she asked. Ethan shook his head. "Not entirely. I know we've survived and we've helped my people, or rather your people, secure the area, but what else?" She smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the stars above. "It means trust, partnership, a connection that goes beyond survival or duty. You have proven that humans can be more than explorers or fighters. You can be allies, companions, even friends in ways that shape the course of events." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest, a sense of purpose that had grown stronger over the past days. "I never expected this," he said softly, "but I am glad for it." Liara nodded. "So am I," she said. "So am I." As the night deepened, they continued to watch the horizon, knowing that more challenges could arise, yet feeling confident in their bond. Together they had faced danger, uncertainty, and the unknown. Together they had survived, and together they would face whatever lay ahead. Ethan realized that this was the essence of humanity, the courage to act, the will to survive, and the ability to connect across differences. In Liara, he had found a reflection of that spirit, and perhaps in himself she had seen something equally valuable. The universe was vast, unpredictable, and often unforgiving. Yet in the midst of chaos and danger, Ethan and Liara had discovered something enduring: trust, respect, and a partnership that transcended species, circumstance, and the perils of space. As dawn broke fully, casting golden light across the ridge, Ethan and Liara prepared to move forward with renewed determination. Their journey was far from over, but they faced it with courage, hope, and the knowledge that, together, they could overcome whatever trials awaited them. For the first time in a long time, both felt something that went beyond survival: a sense of purpose, connection, and the quiet thrill of a future shaped by partnership, trust, and the enduring human spirit. And in that moment, they understood something profound. The universe might challenge them endlessly, but it could also bring together the most unlikely companions, forging bonds that no distance or danger could break.